Chapter 4 of The Mandalorian had the internet in a flurry, and not just because of Baby Yoda. Not only that, but because there was a debate among fans on where this show's influences come from. Was it from the westerns of John Ford or Howard Hawks, or was it from famed director Akira Kurosawa, the man behind movies such as Seven Samurai, Rashomon, Akira, and many, many more? Creators can be and are often inspired by many different things, and I think a prime example of this is with Star Wars. And when George Lucas was creating these films, he wasn't really shy about his inspirations. But today, I want to focus on just one aspect of the many different things that inspired George Lucas when approaching these Star Wars films, and that is the filmography of the incredibly talented Mr. Akira Kurosawa. And not only has he impacted the aforementioned The Mandalorian with films such as Seven Samurai, a film following a poor village under attack by bandits who recruit unemployed samurai to aid them in defending their land. And this plot has actually been implemented in Star Wars before with Star Wars The Clone Wars, the episode titled Bounty Hunters from episode 17 of season 2, which features Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano, who are defending an otherwise defenseless town against a much larger group of invaders. But his influence on Star Wars extends much farther than just Seven Samurai. In fact, Kurosawa's impact can be felt throughout all of Star Wars in all of its various mediums. So it's time for 5 times Kurosawa's impact can be felt throughout all Star Wars and all of its various mediums. Apart from its narrative similarities to many of Kurosawa's films, Star Wars actually shares a lot of aesthetic similarities as well. Concept artist Ralph McQuarrie first suggested that Darth Vader should wear a breathing apparatus, and in an interview with Star Wars Insider magazine, McQuarrie stated that Lucas's artistic direction was to portray a malevolent figure in a cape with samurai armor. McQuarrie noted that the script indicated that Vader would travel between spaceships and needed to survive in the vacuum of space, and he proposed that Vader wear some type of space suit. George Lucas agreed, and Ralph McQuarrie combined a full-face breathing mask with a Kabuto samurai helmet, thus creating one of the most iconic designs in the history of cinema. But the influence of the aesthetic of the samurai on Star Wars didn't stop there. In fact, the robes that we see Jedi wearing throughout the entire saga are very similar to the kamishimo that are also worn by samurai. And the term Jedi actually originally comes from the word Jedi Geki, which literally means period dramas, movies about samurai that take place a long time ago, some might say. 1977's Star Wars borrows many elements from Kurosawa's 1961 film Yojimbo, including but not limited to the cantina scene in which several men threaten the hero, bragging how they are wanted by the authorities, and after a brief sword fight, suddenly an arm is found lying on the ground. Also, fun fact, Blue Harvest, the working title for 1983's Return of the Jedi, is actually a fun homage to Red Harvest, the novel that actually inspired Kurosawa when he was making Yojimbo. And Red Harvest actually also became a book that appeared in Star Wars Legends. As previously mentioned, Star Wars has taken a lot of inspiration from Kurosawa's probably most well-known movie, Seven Samurai. And one of my favorite nods to this is in my all-time favorite lightsaber battle in the entire saga in episode 20 of season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, titled Twin Suns. In this episode, after searching for decades, Maul has finally located Obi-Wan Kenobi and is ready to exact his revenge. Being a relic of the past and abandoned by everything he once swore allegiance to, Maul lets his rage and lust for vengeance cloud his judgment, and Obi-Wan Kenobi capitalizes on this by assuming the form of his former master, Qui-Gon Jinn. This scene is incredibly reminiscent from another moment in Seven Samurai, in which Kyuzo, a highly trained swordsman, is challenged by a brash and overconfident contender. Once they begin to strike, the other, more focused fighter uses this to their advantage and quickly strikes down the other competitor. And I love seeing that even today, nearly 70 years after some of these films have been released, Kurosawa's influences can still be seen in the saga. And one of my favorite favorite examples of this being implemented is in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which borrows heavily from Kurosawa's 1950 film Rashomon. And not only does Rian Johnson borrow themes from this film regarding this movie's perspective on morality and truth and the fact that nothing is quite as black and white as we would like to think it is, Johnson also tells a story that is told from 3 separate points of view. In this film, after a samurai is found murdered, a priest, a commoner, and a woodcutter each tell their story of how this event took place. And the same storytelling technique is implemented in The Last Jedi, in which Rian Johnson utilizes a series of flashbacks told from 3 different perspectives about a confrontation between Luke and Kylo Ren. First, Luke tells the story of Ben Solo burning down a Jedi temple out of pure rage. Following this, we see Kylo Ren, who explains the betrayal that he felt when Luke attempted to murder him in his sleep. And lastly, we are shown a more honest perspective told once again by Luke, who alters his initial story, suggesting that in a moment of weakness, he was going to murder Ben in his sleep, only he decides not to. All 3 of these perspectives do have elements of truth within them, but they also display how our own thoughts and our feelings can affect how we perceive the past. And in doing so, they can show us things that we want to see or that we want to be truth. And as Obi-Wan once said,
"So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view."
And The Last Jedi isn't the only Star Wars film to be very heavily affected by narrative elements from Kurosawa's prior works. In fact, all the way back in 1977, George Lucas has been very outspoken of how he was inspired by Kurosawa's film The Hidden Fortress. The film opens with 2 bickering peasants who separate after an argument, are then reunited by being captured by the enemy, who help a legendary warrior rescue a headstrong and resourceful princess captured by an evil empire. And remind me, where exactly are the rebels hiding?
Enough to find the rebels' hidden fortress.
Do I really need to explain that one? I mean, the influences are pretty obviously there. But what's the point of all this? What's the point of making this video? Well, the point is, any movie that you see this year or you will see next year has been inspired by something that came before it. Whether those inspirations are as obvious as something like The Magnificent Seven, A Fistful of Dollars, or even A Bug's Life, or maybe something a little more subtle, all of those inspirations are still there. And as George Lucas once said best,
you see the echo of where it all is going to go. And instead of destroying the Death Star, he destroys the ship that controls the robots. Again, it's like poetry, sort of they rhyme.
So thank you guys for watching today, and I just wanted to let you know to stay tuned to my channel because in the coming days, I will be unveiling my official Star Wars ranking before Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So what's your favorite Akira Kurosawa movie? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, you can click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie-related things. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.